Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. Delighted that you have joined us on the show live on Facebook and on YouTube. Barry Ferguson, Tam McManus and Alan Ruff are here with me. You can look forward to, on today's show, an exclusive one-to-one with Celtic captain Scott Brown. Really looking forward to hearing his views. I think you'll enjoy it. Tam certainly enjoyed it. Rolling back the years, Tam, is that fair?
No, listen, it was a great interview with the three of us, just chatting away, and I'm sure supporters will enjoy listening. I thought Bruni was very relaxed and open, and it's great to see a real proper centre midfield player, you know, open himself up, unlike this show.
Brilliant. Straight in with a double-footed tackle.
Do you know what? I don't even need to bite back at that one. There's only one winner. There's only one winner.
He's gone in early.
And everybody knows
there's a long way to go in this show. Anyway, who wants to talk to a guy who could potentially have 9 title medals? There's no point. Anyway, let's crack on. Now, here's your quiz for today. If today's quiz doesn't boost your confidence, nothing will. You should have the answer in your pocket right away. No problem with that. Now, a couple of people I've got to mention. Got to mention the people who are following us, who are liking, sharing, and following us on Facebook. Thank you very much. And on YouTube as well. Subscribe on YouTube if you can. Charlie and Roxy in Orlando. They are part of the Orlando Celtic supporters out there in the Leprechaun pub. John McShane from Melbourne. Andrew McRae in Onrus, South Africa, no less, I say to you. Welcome along to the show. Hopefully you're enjoying it Monday to Friday. As ever, Andy Wilson joins us from Australia, Lindsay Buckingham, Una Brennan, Stuart Walker, as well as Christopher Forsyth. Craig Lindsay's a regular, Kevin Clark, Stephen Fee, Dougie Liddle, Robert McGee, Mark McDonald. There are so many. Paul Maguire, Keith Berry, Nicky Twig, Alec Kelly, so many people joining us, and I'd like to thank you all. Carol is listening in Durham. Do you remember Carol? Roughie, Carol Macker. We had a Geordie boy from Durham who used to call us all the time in the early years. Do you not remember?
No, I don't, Peter. I don't think, but since you've read out all these different places, I think there needs to be a road show at some stage. Preferably start.
No doubt I'll get
preferably start. Preferably start. Is that Tam? Who is that? Tam there, right?
Honestly, it's a joke, man. It's a joke.
Tam, honestly,
Crap, man.
Tam, you're coming with us.
No, because you've been with the Man City hanging off just as well. I was glad that you
And by the way,
patched me for that. So karma, Peter.
By the way, that was nothing to do with me that you get binned from the Man City. It was absolutely shocking. As soon as I realised, honestly, see what the guy said to us, look, you've got 2 competition winners and you've only got another 4 tickets. And I thought, the driver's Darren, there's Barry, there's Roughie, there's me. And I thought, oh, how am I going to tell McManus? But listen, you're coming to the next one. I tell you, I think we could be, once we all get out of this lockdown, Tam, we're taking you to Italy with us. Is that fair?
Aye, definitely. I'm up for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Barry said in the back with the chickens and all that. That's shocking, man.
No, listen, mate, I want you there. So we'll ask Brian nicely. We'll ask
absolutely.
Him nicely.
Listen, I've got to say hello to Betty Murray, who's just joined us. Betty is a brilliant girl and always greets me with a smile on her face when there's a home game at Celtic Park. So, Betty, great to see you. lots of people I want to mention as well throughout the programme. So if you've got anything you'd like to see, nice to see Tam in his shed today, says Alec Kelly, who's giving you it tight as well, Tam. But we are delighted that you're with us. And on YouTube, as ever, as we say, you can subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and we would love to see you giving us your comments, albeit try and keep them as respectable as possible. Kenneth McClary, David Anderson, and Jim Kirk. Lots of people joining us. Neil Harrison from Wiltshire. Neil is in Wiltshire. Well done, Neil, for joining us on the programme. Okay, lots to talk about today, including the one-to-one. We'll have a slightly shorter programme. I think it's fair to say shorter of us speaking, Tam, because we managed to get a right good chat with Scott Brown, didn't we?
Oh, I mean, it was 35, 40 minutes, Peter, and it flew by. You know, and he was, as I said to you, he was very open and honest about everything he was saying. You know, I think you settled his nerves early doors with giving me abuse. So it kind of opened himself up. And then I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. 40 minutes flew by, and I'm sure the viewers will really enjoy it as well.
Yeah, there's a meeting going on at the moment, Roughie, with the SPFL. Now, they'll be discussing the possibility of whether we're going to play at all. I think they'll quickly kick that into touch. Calling the title is certainly going to be on the topic of discussion among the 12 Premiership clubs. But I wonder who will be the first one to mention the elephant in the room about will they discuss Rangers? Do you think it will come up? Do you think there's maybe everybody going, I wonder who's going to mention it first?
Mm-hmm. Somebody's got to mention it. Somebody's got to bring it up. Most of the other nations now are beginning to move as we speak. And I think we should as well. I think we've got a lot. I mean, it is an important thing to get out there. Don't get me wrong, but I think there are more pressing debates that we need to be doing. Every time I pick up a paper now, there's somebody talking about league reconstruction. Everybody's got a different view. There's that many different views now. I'd love to know how they're going to get the bottom of that one. Yeah. So as soon as the champions and the league decider and all that, gets out of the way, I think we can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. The big debate is on the reconstruction. Is it going to be a short-term or a long-term one? The good thing is, it'd be good to get Barry's thoughts on it, Tam, because obviously, some people are a little confused, what Barry's thoughts are from BT Sport to Sky. He then changes it in BBC. He was on Al Jazeera a couple of weeks ago as well. He's everywhere now, Tam. He's taking a beating, by the way.
Honestly, he's just talking up his money. He's absolutely minted. He's like a mercenary. And all the different
Do you know what I'm doing?
Picking up my page.
Do you know what I'm doing?
Embarrassing.
And that, by the way, I bet you were giving it.
I'm shouting for the rooftops about my club and what we should be getting, and that's promoted. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Barry. Yeah,
because people, Peter, to be honest with you, you're one of the shows as well. You give a bit of chat about the lower leagues. I don't think there's enough about it. People just tend to go with the Premier League and forget about the rest. So it's important that I get my say on it, and it's good to see that other managers at other clubs are getting the opportunity to come out and say what they feel. And I've read a number. Jim McInally at Peterhead made a great point, I thought, yesterday. If they go with the 3-14s, I don't think that's fair at all on Peterhead, Clyde, Forfar. That means they go down, and I don't think it's fair at all. So I think to limit the damage of Scottish football, if you're going to go with reconstruction, it's 14 and 3-10s, Peter.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, you saying that, but, Tam, I spoke to Lachlan Cameron yesterday. He says, I don't know where you're getting that from. He said, I'm on the committee. He said, 14, 10, 10 and 10 has not been suggested yet, nor 3-14s. He said, you're jumping the gun here. He says, it's all you guys in the media. So
Lachlan was brilliant yesterday. I thought it was a really interesting interview with you guys. He's sitting on the reconstruction board, and there's no talk of 14, 14, 14 or 14, 10, 10, 10. I thought it was great. It's a great insight. And there's a lot of chatting to be done because they've all got to agree. And listen, there's not a bottomless amount of time to sort this out. It's got to be done reasonably quickly so we can build for next season. So maybe it's just paper talk, maybe it's press talk. It looks like it is, according to Lachlan yesterday. There's not been that 14, 14, 14 mentioned at all, and it's all over the press. So it was interesting to listen to him.
One thing that has been mentioned,
Peter,
it was a great.
The worrying
On you
thing
go,
of
Roughie.
the worrying thing of the whole thing is that boy for Elgin coming out and saying the Division 2 have already decided. You know, and if that is the case, and maybe he's just thrown that out there, if that is the case, that is the voting done in. You know, if they have enough votes to kibosh anything else, then we're back to square one.
Yeah, I'd take that with a pinch of salt, Roughie. I don't think that's the case, to be honest with you. Remember, when you're reading stuff, unless you see somebody or you hear somebody giving you a definitive on it, like, for example, Roy McGregor, Barry, has basically said, listen, I'm not going to vote for a temporary fix. This needs to be a long-term fix.
Yeah, I totally agree with him, Peter. It can't be for one season. It's got to be for a long term and for the better of Scottish football. And I'll go back to that interview yesterday that you had with Lachlan Cameron. I thought it was brilliant. And I was taken aback that there's been no chat about what's been discussed in the media. The 14 or 310s or the 314s. I couldn't believe it. So it's great to see somebody come out and be so honest and open. And as you says, you can get all the paper talk, but it's great to see somebody's face and actually speaking to you yourself. And it was great for that. I thought it was a different class, that interview yesterday, and it just shows you what's going on in Scottish football.
I'll sort you out, Peter. That's all right.
Yeah, well, I was going to say to you, the other thing about it is I'll make sure you're not sitting with the chickens. The other thing I was going to say to you guys is quite simply that I am not, and I don't want anybody to misconstrue this, there are a lot of good newspaper journalists getting very good interviews. I mean, let's not kid ourselves on here. What I'm saying is sometimes you have to, some interviews and extracts are taken out of context, and then some people are just basically bumping their gums, Barry, and talking a lot of nonsense. That's another thing you've got to try and sift through. Now, quite simply, I think what's going to happen is when they get to the reconstruction on it, then they'll start to say, okay, what do you think will work? And somebody might say, well, I think 16. Somebody will say 14. Somebody will say the 10, 10, 10. They'll throw these things up there. I mean, even Lachlan yesterday said, I'm not interested in 4 games between Celtic and Rangers. He would have 2 leagues, which is not going to work. He's an outsider wanting a commissioner to drive the whole thing forward for the benefit of all the clubs. But unfortunately, we live in a country where, and I have to be honest with you, we live in a country where for the last 50 years, 2 clubs have decided on the power. They've literally got to a point where both of them have been able to browbeat everybody into submission, whether it be with gate money, whether it be the dispersion of the money, how many percentage goes one way, what the rest of them all get. They've all basically been, at some point or another, controlled by Celtic and Rangers. Now, Celtic and Rangers are 2 biggest clubs. I get that. But we're in a situation where we're trying to look at a league now and sort it out. And we, for the last, 40 years, 50 years, in fact, have witnessed only 2 other clubs win the top flight. Now, I've had a battering on here from 1,000,001 people, Tam, saying nobody else will ever win the league apart from Celtic and Rangers. In our lifetime, we could all be dead. Nobody will have won it other than Celtic and Rangers.
No chance. No chance. Because you look at even the teams that were kind of threatening. You know, the Hibs team under Alec McLeish, back in the early 2000s, were up there for a long time. End of the season, 6 months to go, cherry-picked. Same with the Hibs team with Scott Brown and Kevin Thompson and Stephen Whittaker. Doing really well, finished 3rd in the league again. Celtic and Rangers cherry-picked them, signed their better players. It's always going to happen, Aberdeen. So I don't think it's ever going to happen in our lifetime. It's the Celtic and Rangers that are going to dominate it. And because they've got the biggest fan base, the most money, and the most power in the country, and I think they've got to accept that, Peter. Unfortunately, back in your day, in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, there was more competition and I think less gap between wages. Now it's too far. The gap's too big between Celtic and Rangers and the rest, especially now with Rangers putting the money in under Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, sometimes, Roughie, I think you've got to work out. There's 2 elements to this, and Barry, as a young manager, will obviously have that dilemma depending on which club he goes on to manage. No disrespect to Kelty Hearts, but Roughie, the facts are that you have to have a manager who's not only a good coach, but has the same ethos as Fergie and Jim McLean. More Fergie than Jim McLean in my book, which is quite simply, he just got a whole host of scouts and said to them, right, go down to Glasgow and get some of the best players and let's nick them before Celtic and Rangers get them. Then he'll look at his scouting skills of getting half-decent players, some of them journeymen, some of them, that maybe have slipped through the net, and then he basically got them all in a room and said, listen, everybody in Glasgow hates us, let's get into them, let's have a right battle. Somewhere along the line, you need to be lucky and have a clutch of players for 2 or 3 years that can somehow upset the apple cart. Other than that, you're goosed.
Yeah, you've hit it on the head right away, but Tam's also hit it on the head as well, because as soon as they identify that this club has got a certain player, and we're talking about Lewis Ferguson just now, I think he's the next one. I think Aberdeen, he'll grow and grow with them, but as soon as he grows enough, then he'll be pinched, whether it's down in England or here or whatever. And that's the way the land, Then we saw Aberdeen trying to challenge and getting up there with class players, and then all of a sudden they go. The Rooney leaves, the chaps go down to England. They go down to England. They go to the champion. It's just a no-win for everybody else because they need the finance. They need to sell players, whereas Rangers and Celtic don't. They've got the money to go and buy them rather than let them go.
Yeah, Barry, I want to get your thoughts on this.
I think it's a good point you make regarding Aberdeen. Maybe that's behind their thing of building a new training ground. Maybe to try and entice the younger players for down this way to come up to Aberdeen. Because at this moment in time, last season they didn't have a training ground. Now I think their training ground's open and it's only going to get better. So maybe that's behind Aberdeen's thinking that they can pinch the better younger players for Rangers and Celtic down the west of Scotland.
Yeah, lots of people making points. I'll try and read out some of your names. John McLean, Alexander Christie, Jason Black. Jimmy Crowley doesn't really make a football point. He just says, Roughie looks like a banana with sunburn. So no real football point there from no real football point there from Jimmy, but I really like the way he's thinking about it. It always takes a brave man to wear a yellow top. Anyway, apart from that, a couple of points. Barry, give us your thoughts on this one. This one actually caught my eye today, and I looked at it and I thought, raises a few more questions. John Nelms was speaking to, I think, the Press and Journal up in the Northeast, and he revealed that he'd spoken to Rangers, Celtic, Hearts and Dundee United all over that infamous weekend. He says, I changed my mind after I had more information. So that for me, and everybody's been talking about sweeteners. Remember, there was no real sweetener for John Nelm because Dundee were never going to get into the league unless you suddenly said, well, we're going to promote 4 from the Championship. So I don't think there was any sweetener. The one thing that sticks in my mind, though, Barry, is he changed his mind after he had more information. Now, between the email getting caught in the spam folder and making him change his mind is when I'd love to actually be able to hear the calls that were made to him.
Yeah, well, look, Peter, but in terms of, I seen that interview, I read it myself. He's got every right to phone people up and get their maybe ideas on what they think. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I was thinking that myself, what you've just said to me. I would love to see what's went on or hear what's went on regarding their phone calls.
Yeah, Roughie, have you opened the house window?
Peter, no, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I think Peter his statement was the reason he had changed his mind because he had spoken to people who reassured him there was going to be league reconstruction.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what he said. Obviously, as you've just discussed there now, we'd love to know what people he was talking to who were for him, because it seemed to be the people who were talking to were pretty high up. Up. There weren't anybody for the second division or first division. These were people, that had reassured him. That's why he changed his vote.
Yeah, he mentioned the clubs he's spoken to. That's what he did mention.
Absolutely. Yeah, he mentioned Rangers, Celtic, Hearts and Dundee United, and he mentioned the fact that league reconstruction would be discussed. League reconstruction, Tam, would not have benefited, I don't think, Dundee. Some people might misconstrue that as a sweetener. I don't think it's a sweetener. I think that was the thing that he was edging for anyway, that he was trying to say to people, look, I was trying to look at the benefit of all Scottish football, and league reconstruction seemed to be what was the driving force. And because we had this unusual situation of power, I thought I would ask the question, and he got the feeling that there was a real, feeling for it.
Peter, do you think
Yeah,
he was?
Peter,
do you think?
can-
Roughie, do you think he was Peter? Nels was thinking about the greater good of Scottish football when he was making that decision.
Well,
Yes or
listen,
no?
at the end of the day,
No chance. He
was
wasn't.
in. No. But how does he benefit, Tam? How does he
I think
benefit?
Peter,
Dundee-
what would he benefit?
Peter, somebody could have quite easily have said to him, look, I favour a 16 league here. And if you just sit tight, you'll be one of the teams that go up here. And that's just somebody could have. I'm not saying they have.
But even if it went to 14, Roughie, even if it goes
16.
to 14, aye, but if it went to 14 and no 16, Dundee then would become, I would probably think, title favourites next year in the Championship. So that's maybe what he's thinking.
They don't want Hearts in the Championship, do they? Really?
No,
Dundee?
they don't.
No chance.
They don't.
No, but can I just say something to you? Even if they had said to him, look, John, we'll discuss 16, no one individual who was speaking to him could guarantee everybody voting for 16. Unless it was somebody who knew they were going to get 11.
But as Ruffy's saying,
11-1. But you could plant the seed all you want, Tam. You can't deliver it because you have to have 11 on board who are going to say, yep, we want that. It's an 11-1 vote. So it would have been a brave man to make a sweetener proposal like that and think he could get it through because, as you know, there's that many divisions in there. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's that many cracks in there. You could make another cop movie in it. Anyway, apart from the other thing here, what did you make, Roughie, of Donald Finlay? He was talking on the BBC 9 last night. He said he's disappointed with the way his former club Rangers seem to have lost their way. Let's see the evidence. Why is it being held back? Why would you sit on your hands? Why hold on to it?
Well, he's just saying what everybody else is saying. We're all waiting in tenterhooks to see, what this statement is going to be. You've got a QC who obviously legally knows a lot more than us. And when this statement comes out, he'd be the one that would be able to pick bones in it. So until that statement actually comes out, I think we're all just sitting here. And we've all come to mind now, everything that's been released out there, this has to be something big. This has to be big, or the Rangers are going to be a laughingstock here. Because it can't be just these wee trivial things that we're all talking about now that the SPFL have come out and they've covered their own back and they've put out their own case. So this has to be something really, really big for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, Roughie, and I wonder if it'll come out in the wash. But Donald Finlay, QC, I mean, that's the point here. This is a guy who's dealing with evidence every day of the week, Barry. And even he's turning around and saying, listen, if you reckon there's a wrong here, get the evidence on the table. He knows exactly the process, deals with it every day.
There's nobody more qualified than Donald Finlay, is there? As you say, he deals with scenarios like that every single day of his life. And he's just saying what... I mean, he's a former Rangers director, I'm a former Rangers player, and no matter if you're a former Rangers player or a current player or somebody in the media, everybody just wants this to get out on the table and see what Rangers have got. That's it, because it's dragging on and it's starting arguments and people whispering about certain things. Let's just get the evidence out on the table and let's all decide then we can move forward and worry about the good of Scottish football.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Yeah. I mean, if there's evidence, Tam, fine. Everybody can digest it and then analyse it. As Roughie's mentioned on countless occasions on this show, I mean, can you imagine the fallout in the next few weeks when we should be thinking about more important things if the evidence is a nonsense? I mean, they will get absolutely roasted.
Rangers are getting hammered, and I don't... Listen, for me, it looks as if the risk is far more than the reward in this situation. Rangers prove that there's wrongdoing. Great, everybody will be happy. We can dig people out. And they'll get a few people removed from the SPFL board. Yep, I get that. I get why they're doing that. But if they don't, not only are they going to be a laughingstock, but they might have a couple of defamation cases on their back, calling for suspensions and calling people out in public if they can't back it up. They've sullied guys' names in the SPFL. So. Listen, they've got to have something big, as Roughie says.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. One thing that Donald did say yesterday, reconstruction should be part of a long process taking at least a year. I know where he's coming from, Roughie, but these are desperate times, which is why everybody's trying to move things quickly. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I agree from point one when we started talking about league reconstruction. And I think the majority of Scottish people said, in this whole scenario, nobody should be punished. Nobody should be punished. Let's promote people and praise people for what they've done. I mean, the clubs. Let's give the champions. Let's promote the likes of Barry and Brora. You know, let's congratulate people who have won things. But in this whole scenario, and I'm not just talking about Partick Thistle, even Stranraer are now we're talking about 14. We're talking about 14s getting bumped down to another division. That shouldn't happen. This should be all about just moving on and congratulating the teams who have been promoted or whatever, and then get it sorted out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm going to read you something coming out. Go on.
What I will say, I feel the League Two clubs. I mean, I've seen a couple of statements come out at different clubs. I don't know if they're really wanting hungry, ambitious clubs coming into League Two. I think there's a bit of fear there, if I'm being honest with you.
A bit of jealousy as well.
No jealousy, Tam. If it's me and I'm in League Two and a promoted club comes up with a bit of drive and determination, ambition, that's what you want because it will kick yourself on. So that's at the back of my mind.
You mentioned the word fear. Do you get the feeling now that your owner, as well as you, the manager, are now facing up to the fact that you think this door is being shut and maybe only even slightly ajar? Are you now scared that this is just not happening for you?
Yep, then I look at the full pyramid system. It's pointless then, Peter. You're in a pyramid system, you try and better yourself. First of all, win a championship, then have the chance of promotion. I feel that's getting denied in the Lowland League, Highland League, and even the leagues below us. So I think the 42 clubs are slamming the door shut on the pyramid system.
It makes a mockery of it. It makes a mockery of the pyramid system. Clubs have come up for the juniors, into the Lowland League, shown ambition, and shown there's a pathway into the league. And if you go and shut that door on them now, then for me, no club should be worse off in this situation. And I think the only way we get that is 14, 10, 10, 10. You get your two clubs promoted on every division. There's no relegation, and your two clubs come up from a Lowland League. No one's worse off in the whole league for me. So that is the only way. It's the only way, I think, is 14, 10, 10. Yeah. 10. I don't see any other way to keep everyone happy. To stop.
Peter.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Can I just go on? I can only talk about my own club, but I believe there's 6 clubs in the Lowland League. I can't really speak for the Highland League. I only really know Brora because I had them watched, because that would have been a possibility, us playing in the playoff. I think there's 5 or 6 teams in that Lowland League right now, ready to go up. If not win, certainly challenge in League Two. And that's what I think some of these clubs are thinking, right, that's why we want to maybe talk about the 14. Yep, and stop the clubs coming through the pyramid system. Now, I don't think that's right. I honestly don't think it's right.
It certainly shouldn't be right, Barry, for Edinburgh City and Cove Rangers, who've come up and they've voted themselves in, and then they go and shut the door on you.
They've proven a point. There's Cove Rangers come in last season and ran away with the league. Edinburgh City's a bit more of a slow burner over the past 3 seasons, but now they're up the top challenging. So it shows that there is clubs there that have the drive and determination, ambition to go and try and better themselves. Now I've just got a feeling that, as you say, whether there's a padlock put in the door or the doors are jammed or whatever, I just feel that they don't want these clubs coming through the pyramid system. And then, do you know what? What's the point of this pyramid system? That's why I went to Kelty. There was a clear path and a clear vision to try and get through the leagues,
and the money,
i.e. the Lowland League. Go into League Two, see how you do it, and maybe try and progress then if you get into League Two, into League One. And that's the
percentage-wise.
Not just for... Sorry?
But percentage-wise, how do you rate your chances?
When I read some of the comments that are coming out for League Two clubs, sometimes how can I put it? it looks doubtful in my mind, because I don't think they want these clubs coming through. And then again, I'll go back to the pyramid system. It's totally pointless having a pyramid system if you don't have the opportunity to progress.
Okay. I think we've discussed that. There's nothing coming out from the SPFL as yet. A couple of things I want to discuss. I always like to throw something positive into the programme, Roughie. Somebody says here, is it in Roughie's contract to say, yes, I agree with you on the show 15 times? But you do disagree on... Just to anybody, Roughie, to be honest with you, you do disagree with us.
Yeah.
When you're in the mood.
He's going to agree.
Yeah, I certainly do. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't agree
absolutely.
with that statement. Yeah, who is this boy anyway? I don't agree with him.
I don't know. I lost his name. Listen, couple other things I want to read out to you guys. This is a statement come out from the English Premier League. At a meeting of the Premier League and their shareholders, the clubs discussed the possibility of coming back for this season when it is safe and appropriate to do. It was reiterated that the thoughts are all with the families. Furthermore, the Premier League's priority is the health and safety of players, coaches, managers, club staff, and, of course, the wider community. The league clubs are considering the first tentative moves forward and will only return to training and playing with government guidance under expert medical advice and after consultation with players and managers. The league welcomed the creation of the medical working group from the government for a return of elite sport, which met for the first time this morning. No decisions were taken at the shareholders' meeting. Clubs exchanged views on information provided regarding, of course, restarting the season. It was agreed that the PFA, LMA, players and managers are key to this process and will further be consulted. The clubs reconfirmed their commitments to finishing the season, maintaining integrity of the competition, and welcomed the government's support. So that's just come out from that meeting today down south. What I would say, as you read into that, they still want to try and finish the league, Tam McManus, but Sergio Aguero has just said today, a lot of players are scared to go back because if they go back, they don't know what's going to happen. They might go back and get infected, and their family who have kids, who have babies, there's a real worry there.
Of course there is. Listen, we've banged on about this for weeks and weeks on this show. Listen, there's not going to be any football getting played, I don't think, until August, September. And, these people, these players have got parents, they've got, as you said, wives, kids, and they've got grandparents who maybe pass it on to them and maybe kill them. It's a serious virus. It's not a flu. And it's very contagious, and I just don't see how they can possibly do this on this scale, English Premiership. You've got all your staff in there as well, the media, how you test everybody, how it can be 100% proof. It's not going to happen. In English Premiership, I've got bottomless pits of money to go and do testing. I still don't think it's guaranteed.
Yeah, the other thing here, Roughie, is a quote came out today saying, I can't remember if it was the medical officer or someone within FIFA, it's completely escaped me, but the essence of it was clubs may have to play the whole of next season behind closed doors if a vaccine can't be found. And I think that's the most pertinent point.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't agree with the statement before that, and I don't really agree with that boy there as well before I start answering this. I think, I just disagree with it all.
What are you blethering on about? What are you talking about, you?
I'm just disagreeing with everybody from now at the end of the show.
Right, okay. That's fine, Roughie.
No, you're right. The vaccine, we've said it. The vaccine, and we all sit every night, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and we listen to the health people who come on, and they're the guys you've got to listen to. They're the guys who have got all the medical evidence and expertise, and they're the ones who will determine. Boris Johnson is not going to do in with his committee unless somebody for the health organisation said this is bomb-proof, because he can't take the chance of this coming back again. So the vaccine for me is a big one. I know the testing is up a bit now, but for me, the guy's right. Vaccine and an assurance that if you go in that park, whether it's behind closed doors or whatever, that you are totally and utterly safe. Because you're right, there's a lot of footballers who might just say to themselves, oh, wait a minute, you might be doing it as a club, but as an individual, I'm not taking part of this. Do you guarantee me 100% I'm not going to get this?
Yeah. Okay. Hi to Gary McGurn. Hi to Willie O'Donnell, Brian Mackay, Marion Christie, who says Roughie is the main man. So there you are. There's Marion said that, by the way.
Well, I definitely agree with her.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you are, Marion. You know, I mean, honestly, and that's good coming from Roughie. Hasn't even seen a picture.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
we'll be on that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. By the way, he'll be on Facebook looking for a Marion.
Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a couple of things here. Scott Brown is on the way, and it's well worth listening to because it was just a great chat, great banter with him, with Tam. You'll certainly enjoy Scott Brown, the Celtic captain, and he's got a few tasty things to say as well. So it's well worth hanging on for, and it's not too far away now. A couple of things. Wait to see Barry's face when we say this one, Tam. Stephen Gerrard's done a private message, obviously, out to all the Rangers season ticket holders. The good news, Barry, is the season tickets are frozen for next year, which I think is a positive mention.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure is. They're obviously looking after their fans. Troubled times, people on furlough, no having to watch their pennies. So, not good idea for Rangers.
Yeah, and he also goes on to say, obviously it's a resilient city, much like Liverpool, the city that he played in. But he says, football makes a city, Rangers make Glasgow. There you are, Barry. There's a rallying cry.
Do you know what? See, when I read that last night, I seen the quotes, so I was, love it. Yeah, that was great.
Blood was pumping again. I was ready to see nice hair off again.
Yeah,
I was away in, get my boots on, my shinnies on. I was loving it.
I actually could hear. I heard somebody shouting from Gary and Bridge, "Let's get into them." That's all I heard, Roughie. That's all I'm saying to you. Anyway, on the downside of that, Tam, I noticed Tim Sherwood said today Brendan Rodgers would have gone on to manage Real Madrid or Barcelona if it wasn't for Steven Gerrard's slip. And I thought to myself, my God almighty, that's a stretch, isn't it? That's a stretch. My God. How harsh is that for Steven Gerrard?
It is. Listen, I was I'm a massive fan of Steven Gerrard as a player. I think he was the best central midfield player in English football when I was growing up. I thought he was an absolutely world-class player. Unfortunate for him, that little slip probably cost Liverpool the league, but they'll make up for it this season, I think.
Yep. Okay.
Better than Paul Scholes, Tam?
Yeah, Gerrard was my favourite, honestly.
Yeah.
No, he was top player.
He was my favourite.
It's a tough call, isn't it, splitting them there. Richie Armstrong says, hey, Pedro, can you say hi to Richie Dillon Taylor Armstrong, who's sitting here listening to you guys? Well, I have to say, Richie, great to have you on board. We love so many people who have been joining us, have been sharing our content, who've been liking and following us as well. The figures are incredible. Thank you very much to everyone. We do not take it for granted, and we love the fact that 99% of the people who are following us are football fans. They really are, and we want to mention the positive people. The 1% nutcases, well, that's life. You have to deal with it in every walk of life. I always like to give them a wee nod as if to say we're monitoring you. So the other thing I was going to say is if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to us as well, and you can see Tam and Roughie. Don't worry about maybe not seeing Barry as regularly as possible because he's on Netflix as well, and he's done a 5-year deal for the Disney Channel too. He'll be speaking to them as well because he's just basically prostituting himself. He's unbelievable. And you know, I don't know.
I'm just doing my deed for the club. Doing my deed for the club. That's it.
I don't know if you saw it, Tam, but you know, after the first question, oh, that's a great question, Darryl. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love you, Sutty. Oh, I love you. Oh, that's great.
Slaughters on the WhatsApp chat. Slaughters on the WhatsApp chat, and then he was something right up them.
It was Rory.
Oh, was it Rory?
Oh, Rory, was it? Oh, Rory.
Rory's a top man. Top man, Rory.
10 years.
Yeah,
10 years I only called him Mr. McPherson. You know, Archie. I never called him Archie. Now he's calling one of the commentators Rory, Tam. That's what we're up against. Rory, eh? Roughie, nothing like it. No
chance.
Yeah,
he's getting late. He'll be getting ready to throw himself out there to everybody when this title's been announced.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when we under Roughie. Oh, brilliant, Roughie.
We'll be looking for lifeboats.
Oh,
Null and void.
Yeah. Brilliant. Anyway, I'm going to say hello to a few people because there's lots of people have sent us messages and that, and I really thanks to Paul Mackay, John. I'm going to get this right, John Stralecki. My apologies if I haven't pronounced it right. Pat Burns, Andy Wilson, who always listens to us. Thanks for that, and of course, lots of people joining us. Willie O'Donnell as well as Barry Lumsden, Elizabeth. Triantafiliou. I always get that right for Elizabeth as well. I make a special effort on this. So, a couple of things. Here's Roughie's favourite moment of the programme because we finally whittled it down, Roughie. Here's the 4 Scottish goalkeepers from the vote of 10. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I was surprised actually because Jamie Langfield on social media was laughing, saying there's no way he's get into the final 4. But clearly, Jamie Langfield has mobilised his family, his cousins, all his friends on
His
Facebook.
phone bill
Roughie.
must be
He's
about
in-
£7,000.
He must have been just tapping away there. He'll be skint. How the hell did he get into the final 4?
well, no, I think obviously he's done what you've said he's done, which is. But no, he was a good. He wasn't a bad goalkeeper. Come on.
So when you try to say he shouldn't have been in the top 4?
No, he's had his moments. And he came on our show, so he's not a bad boy. He's a good lad.
Good. I was about to say to you, Roughie, I know Jamie's a good lad, but you forget one thing. He actually pulled off a good couple of saves for Aberdeen in the League Cup final to win it against Inverness.
Yeah,
Admittedly,
you're right.
Admittedly, it was the worst cup final ever, but...
Yeah, he's one of these unfortunate goalkeepers that have had a couple of bad mistakes on the telly, and people remember these things rather than the good times. So, well done to him getting in the 4, but he's not in the top 2, unfortunately.
Speaking from experience, Roughie.
No, I can't.
I thought he was a decent goalkeeper.
He was. We're only waiting.
We're only waiting. Yeah. But I'm just saying. I said, well done to be in the top 4. Good guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Jamie, I know he watches the programme. You're all right.
I cannot split McGregor and Craig Gordon. I can't split the two of them. I think the one are full.
Roughie.
Give us the name. Just give us the
There's
name.
absolutely no doubt about it.
Okay, I'll go Craig
No
Gordon.
doubt. It's got. Yeah, same with me, Craig Gordon.
Fergie. I'm with you.
So that's your answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Craig Gordon's. Yeah. Yep.
Craig Gordon.
Craig Gordon for me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Alan.
Nah, I'm only kidding you.
Sam?
It's McGregor for me. Big Griegsy for me all day. I'm only
Barry. I wonder who you're going
Griegsy's
for.
the
Who are you going
class.
for, Barry?
Hey, listen, I tell you, different class he was, Griegsy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know what, in terms of not just a good goalkeeper, see it having a dress, and Tam probably heard a few people say this. Unbelievable leader. Just a born winner, the guy. Born winner.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with you.
Great lad as well. Good guy.
You know what he said to me, Tam, at the PFA Awards, and he'd had a few scoops. And you know what I'm like. I'm a cheeky so-and-so at the PFA Awards. You get absolutely hammered. And he came up to me, and he what he's like, Griegsy Barry. He does the whole back, and he walked up to me, and he's looked at me, and he went, "You are one cheeky so-and-so." And I said, I know. I said, that's what the players want. And he said, see if I was up there, he says, I'd absolutely leather you. And I looked at him and I went, well, I said, unfortunately, I said, the awards ceremony is for winners, so you won't get the chance. Honestly, I thought he was going to kick my head in right there and then. By the way, I was off, Barry. I was like, poof, 10 yards. I was away.
He's an angry man. He's an angry man, isn't he, Barry?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nah, he's a great guy, but do you know what?
He is,
A Jamie guy as well.
Oh, he is he's a good lad, Griggs, and he gets my vote anyway. So it's a 3-1, Roughie. You've lost out there with that one. Anyway, somebody says an Airdrie fan says John Martin's much better. Who are we to argue? Just quickly before we get to Scott Brown, here's your foreign goalkeepers. That's a tough one, Roughie. You have it.
Well, that is another tough one as well. I think it's between Klos and Boric. Again, I'm going to go for Boric. I'm going to go for Boric. Not much between them, I may add, but that's who I'm going to go for.
Peter. Peter, I'm going to go for Stefan Klos, even though I scored 3 goals past him. One was a volley from 30 yards that he saved on the way out. One was a nutmeg, and I chipped him the other time. But I'm going to give him it. He was a good goalie. So Klos for
I'll
me.
tell you one thing.
I seen that goal, Tam. Was that on Twitter no long ago? That goal. My boy showed me it.
Yep.
Decent. Good technique, son. That was good technique.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but I don't know if you spotted after it, once he'd hit the volley, Barry, and it was an absolute raker, Tam, he thought about going over to the Rangers fans, but because he's spineless and yellow, he ran away from them.
Oh, no chance. No way.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair, I scored at Celtic partner anti the Hibs fans, and I get absolutely pelters off of my pals. You didn't celebrate and scored against Celtic, never done it against Rangers. But sometimes you just lose the heat.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes being aware of your surroundings. That's what it is. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go for Boric. Barry, who are you going for?
I'm going to go for McGregor.
Foster. He's Scottish.
Yeah, he's Scottish. Who are you going for?
Close.
Yeah.
He's going for Eric Close.
I'll go with
He's going for Klos. Just say it, Barry. Hurry up.
Hey, it's an opinion.
Anyway.
Yeah, it is an opinion. Listen, Peter Shaw said Gorham is better, he says, but Peter, it's actually from 2000. It's the last 20 years. So that's why, and we didn't pick the Final Four. It was voted for by everyone. So thank you to everyone. With that in mind, listen, I make no bones about this because on this show, every now and then we do tributes to lots of people over the last few weeks. But I think it's only, I very rarely do birthdays. But if you'll please forgive me for this, Barry, I decided we'd do a wee tribute to a man who's 70 today. When I grew up as a boy, I had 2 heroes in my life that were my boyhood heroes. And I've met them. We've had them both on the show. And one of them was Kenny Dalglish, as you know, Barry. And the other one was this man who's celebrating his birthday. Wow, 70. Happy birthday, Danny McGrain. He can tackle, he can beat players, he can cross the ball. I wonder what he'd be worth nowadays, Roughie.
Lots of money. Absolutely lots of money. Up and down the park, an engine. Guy, again, where a lot of people wouldn't appreciate it. A great sense of humour as well. And a great guy, you know. I mean, these people we keep throwing up there, you know, they're legends in the game. And I had the pleasure of playing them, obviously, with Scotland, not with Celtic. And he was just a great guy to be about. Absolutely true legend.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny McGrain, world class. Simple as that. Great to hear Barry today, Tam and Roughie as well. Thank you to everyone. The answer to our competition, our quiz, was Frank Lampard. Fairly easy stuff, I have to say. Stick with us because Barry and Tam and Roughie are going to obviously get ready and watch one of the TV series over the weekend, one of those box sets. What are you going for this weekend, Roughie?
Well, that one that Tam was talking about, I'm going to get that a bash. I maybe go back to Power again now that Gangs of London are finished. But I'll find something.
Yeah, Gangs of London, great. Tam, you just started that, haven't you?
I'm through the first 4 episodes. It's a bit gruesome, isn't it? Really? It's
gruesome. It's the last episode. The last episode when they all die is the most gruesome I've ever seen.
Peter,
Ozark's good.
Just what Tam mentioned there, I'm going to start that tonight.
Yeah, listen to everyone who is joining us on the programme regularly. The figures are fantastic. We're delighted. Monday to Friday. Like, share and follow us on Facebook if you can. And if you're on YouTube, all the fabulous people on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. If you're smart enough and you know how to work your telly, get on the old Sky, get down to apps, go across and you get this programme on your TV in Technicolor, as they say in the 80s in the movies. So do yourself a favour and join us for that. All I'm going to say to you now is sit back, even if you are a neutral, and he is a little bit like Marmite if you're not a Celtic fan. You can love him or loathe him, but he's certainly good to listen to. And Tam and I certainly enjoyed his company. From everyone here, I caught up with the Celtic captain, Scott Brown, earlier. Well, I'm delighted to say our special guest on the football show is the Celtic captain, Scott Brown. Scott, I decided to bring one of your old teammates in on the act as well. How good is it to be back with McManus by your side?
Oh, it's an absolute delight. To be fair, we only played a couple of games together. Tam was on the bench quite a lot, so he never really played that much. But to be perfectly honest, I was a great boot boy for Tam, but they never ever got dirty.
I've got to ask you this first before we absolutely cane him. Family safe and well, because it is difficult circumstances.
Yeah, everyone's well. The main thing is kids, missus, they're all good. Kids are out playing in the background now, so they're giving me half an hour peace, so the timer's on.
Well, on that basis then, let's crack on, because Tam mentioned to me, we were thinking about all the awards that you've won, the titles, the cups and everything, but Tam pulled out an absolute raker when he said to us, did you know that Scott Brown won the best dressed Fife man of 2003? No, you've even turned your jeans up at the bottom. I mean, that is an absolute belter, isn't it, Tam?
Oh, honestly, his clubber's not getting any better. He's actually getting money now, and he's still not any better. I mean, look at the bottoms on them.
Mate, look at that.
They are shocking.
The time of laces at 21.
I mean, the good thing about it is it's great having you two here, because basically, I'm looking at it, Scott decided to go with 2 clubs, whereas Tam, you decided to sign for 15 clubs. Now, many people would look at that and say, that's 15 signing on fees, Tam. I mean, which path would you have preferred?
I'd rather have had 2 clubs, to be honest. I get freed 15 times. I get about 7 pay-ups and a few signing on fees along the way, so not quite as much as Bruni in the bank, but I done all right.
I'll tell you one thing that was special about that group of players. I mean, Scott, look at this absolute belter of you guys. There was so much talent at Hibs at the time. I mean, look at the look on your face and McManus's.
That's absolute boy band material, that. Wow. Why are we raging, Tam?
I think that was a mean and moody look. I think we get told to do the mean and moody look. There's about £7 million worth of talent in that picture, and me as well.
Well, I was going to say to you, Scott, listen to this: Whittaker, Caldwell, Brown, Doby, McManus, Riordan, Thompson, Brebner, Fletcher, O'Connor, and Murray. I mean, that is some amount of really good players you guys were playing with at Hibs at that time.
Yeah, to be fair, it was great because we were all friends as well. We all came through the youth development scheme at Hibs, and the only one that probably wasn't was Dobes at the time in that picture especially. But it was a great bunch of lads. We all just kind of done what we wanted to do. We were lucky enough to be playing professional football at 17, 18, 19, and we were just playing with a smile on our face, not a care in the world as well, and I think that's why we thrived off it.
Yeah, and Tam, when you were with that bunch, did you sense, this is a special group of players?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, myself and Ian Murray. Even before that, Kenny Miller came through. Then it was myself and Ian Murray, and then it was Gary O'Connor and Derek Riordan, and then Bruni and Tomo coming after that. So there was a conveyor belt coming through all the time at Hibs. Probably a lot of due to that Donald Park, who was a big part of things at Hibs. He brought a lot of players through. And it was exciting times. Unfortunately, for me, they came through and ended up taking my place. And you'd Stephen Fletcher beneath them pushing as well. So, listen, it was a tremendous group of players, and myself and Bruni do share a lot of similarities. We obviously came through the Hibs youth system together. We obviously were two. Were number 7. Bruni took my number 7 when I left, and both of us have also got a lifetime ban from the pubic triangle in Edinburgh. So we do share a lot of similarities.
Yeah, rather worryingly, I had a flat just 100 yards from there, so I know exactly what you're talking about. You're a disgrace, McManus.
We know, we were there.
Listen, I was talking there about that crew all together. I was speaking to Kevin Thompson earlier in the week, and Tomo said he reckoned just a wee bit of ambition from Hibs and keeping you guys together for maybe 1 or 2 years. That could have been something really special there. Did you sense that, Scott?
Yeah, I think the main thing was for us to try and break either Rangers or Celtic at the time, and at the time we were actually flying. We were second in the league behind, I think it was Celtic at the time, and it was just the end of the season. We had 4 or 5 injuries, and our squad couldn't really cope with the injuries and missing the first team players that we did, because we were young lads and we were expecting more young lads to come through, and it was hard work on everybody's shoulders. But I think going and winning a cup with Hibs in 2007, it was one of many, and it's one memory it's going to cherish with me for the rest of my life, because it was the first trophy that I've ever won. But I think if different times Hibs could have pushed the budget a little bit more, brought in 3 or 4 other experienced players as well to help the lads out, you never know what could have happened.
Yeah, Tam, have you got any special memories, you, Bruni, that crew together, apart from obviously the infamous kebab night? Don't mention that, just something else.
No, listen, it was great to see the young boys coming through. I agree with Scott. It was, Bobby Williamson took a lot of stick. And he wasn't the best coach I ever worked under, but I tell you what, he gave all those boys a chance. And Bruni and Tomo and Deeks and Gary O'Connor and all that, he played them. So he's got to give Bobby a lot of credit. He gave the boys a chance. In the season when I was there, we beat Celtic and Rangers and then got beat off Livingston in the final. It was probably just a season too early for all of us. I think I was one of the oldest players in the team at 23-year-old. So it just came a little bit early, but you could see the talent was there in abundance, and the hunger was there. And it was only going to be a matter of time before they won a trophy. I had left by then, and Hibs went on and won it under John Collins, which was a Tony Mowbray team, to be honest with you, that won that tournament. But great memories, great players, and made Hibs a lot of money as well when they all moved on.
Yeah, was there a manager in the Hibs era, Scott, that you warmed to that seemed to get the best out of you?
I think Tam hit it right in the head there. I think Bobby meant a lot to everybody, and it was one of those ones. He didn't have to give us a chance. He had experienced players lying there, but he had to also slash the wage budget as well. So it was either play the young ones or bring in players that are on a lot more less money than what the players that we're on now. So I think we've got a lot to thank Bobby for giving us that opportunity in the first place. But it was more after that we had the chance to win that cup and we didn't do it. But it was the lads all together working hard, and then Tony came in and we got better and better because we're getting a little bit more experienced as well. And I think that's what pushed us on as well. We understood how to win games, and we were starting to develop as proper players and not just everyone sprinting about the park, not understanding the roles. And it was becoming a 4-3-3 and understanding how to play in that and how to press teams and how to defend it as well, because you played against some great teams with Rangers and Celtic, and you had to take the battering that we're going to give you now and then because they dictated the play for a long periods of time. But it was the chances that we did take that we had to go up the park and make sure that we did take.
Let's talk about the here and now. We're on the verge of possibly the SPFL being called at some point. From your own perspective, was there a moment when you thought, look, this season isn't going to finish, and do you still believe there's no chance?
I'm not actually 100% sure how it's going to go. We obviously want to play all the games. We believe that if we played the 8 remaining games that we'd expand our lead as well at the top, and I think that's the thing that's hurting the lads the most, because we could have pushed for another treble as well, because we're in a semi-final, we're at Hampden yet again, so it was an opportunity for us to push for that 4th treble.
Did you ever think Rangers were going to catch you if it had have finished?
What, for the 8 games? I think the manager and everyone understood that they were never going to catch us. They says it in the press themselves. The only chance they had to win was to win the Scottish Cup. So they pretty much admitted defeat already. So I think for us it was all about Dubai, going to Dubai, understanding that we lost that game to Rangers at the end of December. But we had to make sure that we put things right, and we managed to do that. We went away, we worked extremely hard in Dubai, but we also enjoyed ourselves as well in the training field, and I think that's the best thing. We've got coaches and managers and players that want to play for this club, that love this club as well, and it's shown on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there's something that Tam and I have been debating on the show constantly, which is, apart from the league aspect of it, the Scottish Cup that you touched upon there. I don't know, Tam, I don't know how we resolve that, and whether, you know, Scott and the other teams get a chance to battle out for it, and Scott's mentioned there the possibility of another treble. Just how do you resolve the Scottish Cup, Tam? I mean, I don't know how we do it.
I don't know either. I think if you're going to call the league, Peter, if you're going to call the Premiership, and you're going to call Celtic champions, and you're basically going to finish the season, then I don't really see how you can then go and play the Scottish Cup. I don't see how you can play it. I understand. Listen, it's tough on the 4 teams that are in there, especially for Celtic, who are going for an unprecedented quadruple treble. But I think if you call the leagues now, you call Celtic champions, relegations, etc., then I think that's the end of that's the end of the whole season. I don't think you can then go and play another competition from a season that's already finished. So that would be my take on it. I don't think you can play it. I think you have to scrap the whole lot and just give Celtic the champions and give and relegate Hearts if it comes to that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you on that point, Scott. Would you be warming to the possibility of the Scottish Cup being the fanfare opening to the new season, played tightly in a week, or do you have something else in your mind?
No, I don't think it's for me to say. We've been keeping in touch with the PFA, and they've been sending emails, sending texts daily about what's going to happen. But I don't think anyone knows in this when we're going to be going back. And at least if we had a date that everyone knew we can go back to, you can start to organise that. But due to circumstances, nobody really knows. So I think we've just got to play that one by ear as we go along.
Yeah, just picking up on that point, safety of everyone is paramount. Sergio Aguero said he, like many other players that he's spoken to, feels slightly scared about the prospect of going back to play football. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's obviously, you don't want to pass it to anybody else if you have got it. People have symptoms that are lying on for 14 days that you don't really know. So I understand what the English Premier League's doing. They're testing a lot of players, are spending a lot of money. But sadly, our resources don't go as deep as theirs do. So it's going to be hard no matter when we go back. But I'm sure it'll be back in small groups to start with, and then they'll push it on. And just hopefully that everyone can get back playing football, everyone can get back to normality eventually. And we know it's hard for everybody, but we just got to keep fighting and try and get through this.
Yeah, Paris Saint-Germain and their players say it's not ideal the way we were awarded the title, but we're absolutely delighted that we are champions again. What does it mean to you if and when it happens?
Yeah, we'd be in the same circumstances. We obviously want to finish the league. We believe that we could push the points barrier bigger because we believe that we're playing well at the time. That we're enjoying our football as well, but we're just sad as well that the fans can't see us picking up that trophy, especially on the last day of the season when we are champions.
I know Tam's legs eventually told him that he couldn't go on when he signed for Gart Cairn, but
that was only 23.
from your own point of view, I mean, you're going to be 35 in June. The legs, you've just defied everybody. The legs can keep going. Is the desire of 9 if it happens? Is the desire of 10 in a row the thing that's keeping you going, keeping you focused?
I think for me, I go into training as long as I can keep up with the lads. I feel like I deserve to be there. I think the day that I struggle in training and struggle in games, and I know it myself, the manager knows it, and 60,000 people know it as well, I think it's a day that I call it quits. But I'm not saying it's going to be 1 season, 2 seasons. You never know. You've seen people like Gordon Strachan going on to 40. You've seen Ryan Giggs playing late on as well, and you've got people like that you look up to and you think, right, if I focus, I work as hard as I possibly can I push my body till 38, 39, 40? But if not, you might wake up one day and your legs have fell off like what Tam's is. What happened to Tam?
Yeah, absolutely. Look at his face by how demoralised him.
Yes, Tam.
I think Peter. I think Bruni will know himself. I think you get to a point where you just think, "Nah, I've had enough." And listen, he'll wake up one day. He will, and he'll say to himself, "Listen, I've had enough." The one thing that Bruni will miss and that I miss is the dressing room. I miss it desperately. I miss being in amongst the boys, and honestly, it's the biggest thing that I miss. I miss the camaraderie. I was always at the heart and soul of everything at every 48 clubs that I was at, and Bruni's probably the same. It's Celtic. He's in amongst it. And it's every day there's something going on, and you'll miss that big time. So one thing I would say to Bruni, and any players, play as long as you can, and because you're a long time retired.
Yeah. What was the best dressing room you were in, Scott?
To be fair, at Hibs, obviously, I had a great dressing room because it was all my mates coming through at the same time as well. But Celtic are kind of growing into becoming like more of a leader as well, and so is a lot of the other players coming through in the dressing room. But that's learning from people that's been at the club as well, and that take you under the wing too. And you've got people like Stephen McManus that he was my captain at the time, and he was fantastic. You've got people like John Kennedy that's been coaches that I played with as well. They've been fantastic as well throughout my whole career. And there's been some wild dressing rooms, and we've had Joe Ledley, Adam Matthews, and people like that who've been unbelievable banter. But it's when you're winning, any dressing room's amazing. See, when you get beat, any dressing room's toxic. It's what happens in football. There's always somebody that thinks they know better than anybody else when they're sitting in there. But it's about people's strong mentality as well. And if you come together, you keep them all together, and you work hard, and you get the benefits at the end of the day.
You mentioned the word toxic there. Was it at that point that you decided to distance yourself from Tam at Easter Road?
No, it was just his boots that were toxic.
He was the worst boot boy in the world, Peter. Honestly, God, I think he polished my boots with mud. And basically, it was only gravel on the bottom of my boots. I know it was only gravel at the bottom of my boots from warming up round the track, so it was quite an easy clean for him.
I was going to mention to you. You said actually you admired and you respect the likes of Gordon Strachan playing till he's 38, 39, 40. I mean, how important was he as a manager to you, and obviously as an inspiration, the way he conducted himself as a player and kept himself going that long?
Yeah, he was incredible for me, and I think the biggest thing that I can say about Gordon is he'd taken the time to come to my house one day when we beat Hearts in the league, and I think it was 6 in a row that we won. And he came to the house and he went, "Right, wee man, sit down." And I'm going for a party in Glasgow, and I'm thinking, "Oh, geez, what have I done?" And he's like, "Right, how are you feeling?" And I was like, "I've felt better." And he was like, "New manager coming in, what are you going to do?" And I was like, "Just go on and do the same, hopefully be fine, injury-free and stuff like that." It was like, take a couple of weeks off, then go away, work as hard as you possibly can, give it one last shot, see if it doesn't work, your legs have fell off. Totally understandable. It was like, you've had a great career, blah, blah, blah. But it was like, I need you to go out and work as hard as you can, focus, try and be as professional as you can. And then speaking to Brendan as well, I think he was on the same, obviously him and Gordon had spoke together as well. So the two of them tried to work together and tried to get the best out of me. And I think for that, I've got a lot of respect for the both of them and how well they worked with me to try and get me back into playing at a proper level that I should have been for the couple of years beforehand.
Yeah, and do you think Celtic's going to be your last club then? Is that if this is the last deal, is it your last club, or would you think, oh, I could maybe, if my legs tell me, I could play a couple of years elsewhere?
No, you never know. I've loved every single minute at Celtic. I never want to leave, but sometimes it becomes a time that if I think I can still play, the manager and the backroom staff maybe think that my fitness level isn't up to playing in Champions League, playing in Europa League and continuing to play for 60 games a season. So they might think one day, like, look, you're not up for this, but we can maybe play you 20 games here or there, or we'll let you go away somewhere else and maybe enjoy your last couple of years in your career just chilling out and playing games and maybe not winning trophies. But for me, when I first signed, I signed for Celtic to win trophies, and I've done not too bad at that so far, but I've still got that thrive to go on and win some more.
Yeah,
Bruni, I'll get you a move to LA Galaxy. I'll only take 10%. So just me and you'll stick together, pal, right?
Yeah, but it's a 3-month contract.
Yeah, like he needs you as an agent. Just on that point, Kevin Thompson says he wants to one day manage Hibs and Rangers. I know you've been taking your badges.
Same time.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure he's getting away with it. He's getting pelters for saying it in Edinburgh, isn't he, Tam?
Yes. I think you can maybe go from Rangers to Hibs, but I don't know if you could go from Hibs to Rangers. I don't think the fans would be too happy with that. But listen, there's nothing wrong with ambition. Kevin's doing well at Rangers, and there's nothing wrong with ambition. And you've always had fans that will moan. Alec McLeish get pelters when he left Hibs to go to Rangers, and he went on having a successful career. So I'm not sure Tom will be too bored about it.
Yeah, how's the coaching going? I mean, do you want to one day be a manager? Would you love to manage Celtic one day,
hopeless.
Scott?
sorry.
The team
on you go.
texting me asking me for sessions. That's how bad it is. I've been putting Jordan at the back for the kids. I think maybe one day, yeah. I think you've got to go in to start with and become a coach and learn the game from a different aspect, because playing the game and being there on the park, you can read it really well, but understanding the game from a distance and trying to get your message over to the players is something totally different. And I've watched Brendan, I've watched Neil recently, and they've done it really well over the years, and it's about winning mentality as well. And Neil drives that into everybody and installs that, and I think you've got to come in, you've got to have a smile on your face. It's not like 25 years ago when Fergie came in, ranted and raved and shouted at everyone and they done as he says, and you've got to have that little bit of respect for players as well, but also the players have got to have that respect for the manager and give him his place.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I mean, I know you want to be a coach as well and go through the various processes towards manager. Is there a position there for you at Celtic? Have you discussed it? Is there a possibility?
Yeah, I've spoke with Peter and I've spoke with the manager as well, and they say once your legs eventually kind of go, there is always that opportunity to come in and to coach, and I'm not sure what level it would be in it yet, but there is that opportunity, and it's a great starting place for myself, to be perfectly honest, because it's a place that I've enjoyed going, and if it's at Lennoxtown or if it's at Barrowfield, and I've had fond memories at both of them.
Yeah. How would you go on then?
Peter, can I just say something? You know, I'm obviously doing the licence with Bruni. I think he's a fantastic ambassador for Celtic Football Club. You know, I'm not having a bit of a laugh here. You know, the time he gives people, the coaches there, you know, his sessions he puts on, he speaks to everybody. You know, he's one of the lads, you know, and people are looking up to Scott Brown when he's doing the sessions, and we're in having lunch and all that, and he's humble. And listen, I think he's been fantastic for Celtic on and off the pitch. And I think he'll go on and be a great coach, because he's got that humility about him, which a lot of the boys have commented on when we've been doing the licence. So I've got to say massive credit to him for that.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Scott, how would you manage? Yeah, I was going to say there. I mean, what about that compliment? First of all, I mean, this is emotional. Do you want me to just go and beat you to it?
I don't know what just happened there. That was the nicest thing that Tam's ever says to me. He texts me and slaughters me constantly. But no, much appreciated, T-man.
No bother.
Yeah. How would you manage a Scott Brown and a Tam McManus if you eventually became a manager?
You're letting the two of them go. That's it. See you later. Both of you go to America together and hope for the best. I think, to be fair, the two of us are kind of similar off the field. You always want to have that bit of laugh, that bit of banter. But see, as soon as we cross that line, the two of us, we want to win. That's why we say we want to play football. You want to get the trophies. You want to be on that field in front of whether it's 10,000, 60,000 people, and you want to show what they can do. And to be fair, Tam's done it as well, and he's scored some unbelievable goals. But he's also he takes the time to speak to people as well, and I think it's also the bit between both of them. You have the coach's head on, but you've also got to have that little bit of banter as well to be able to speak to players, to be able to speak to managers as well, and that's what Tam's always been good with throughout his years.
Yeah, you mentioned so many people that have had an influence on you. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. I remember, obviously, you highlighting very emotionally at the Armadillo when, Tam, it was 3,000 people in the Armadillo just to see Scott Brown talk. I mean, honestly, for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. They were stroking his ego. They were telling him it was brilliant. I thought, it was nauseating, Tam.
Sycophantic nonsense.
Absolutely. I just had to come in and leather him. It was as simple as that. But you mentioned something there that I thought was a great touch, and it encapsulates all the managers that you played with. The influence of Tommy Burns, I thought was a brilliant touch from you, because Tam was, he's patter, and I was great friends with him. He was magnificent.
Oh, he was unbelievable on and off the field as well. And even when he left Celtic, he was still joining in boxes a couple of weeks beforehand, playing wee balls around the corner, and he always put a smile on everybody's face. But it was more Tommy that got me to Celtic than anybody else, and he was on the phone, he was texting away and sending flowers to my little sister on the day he dies as well. And it shows you that the man that he is as well, because not a lot of people would ever do that, and he's always thinking about other people, and that's what Tommy was all about.
Yeah, and strangely enough, Scott, you mentioned all the qualities. Tam's highlighted the qualities you have when you're coaching and when you're putting sessions together and your relationship with players. I thought that was one of Tam's great qualities, especially as a manager. I do think he would have taken Celtic to another level had he been given the money just to get that extra bit of quality in. But the one thing that he did have that I wonder if you have emphasised the need for that is the ability to have sympathy with people, to understand their situation, to communicate with them. All those little touches off the field are so important.
Yeah, and I think he was one of the first kind of coaches that you can see that was doing that, and he was obviously doing that before I came to Celtic, and he was doing that as a manager as well, and it shows you how far ahead he was of everybody, and he didn't give people the silent treatment. He didn't walk past them in the corridor. He would always put an arm around you, and he understood that people are going to have a bad game, that you might not be fit, you might be playing through injuries and stuff like that, but he always had time to sit down to chat to you, and whether it was at lunch or even in his office as well. And I think just those little bits that make Tam, to be perfectly honest, because Tommy was fantastic, but see, as soon as he went on that training field as well, it just put a different smile on his face as well, coming into Lennoxtown, and it was what he wanted. It was what he wanted to set up as well. He wanted a training ground for players to come through, for people to come in and to appreciate as well, and that's what he wanted, and that's what he got.
Yeah, he's the only man I know, Scott, to convince me that I wasn't having a stag night before I got married. I was having an 11-a-side game, and we'd all to get in a car and head through to Edinburgh to play an 11-a-side game. He was absolutely mental. And we're in the corridors of Park. We're in the corridors at Celtic Park one day, Tam, I kid you not. Roy Keane walked past us, and he was injured at the time, and he just looked at me and he went, "Hey, Pedro, he's next out the door." he just caned everybody. It didn't matter. He had a great one-liner for everybody. Listen, it's been an absolute joy. I don't want to keep you too long now because Tam's got... We had to write down a few questions that I thought would be great for you to do in a quick fire round. Hopefully, Tam, have you got them there with you? Have you got them ready?
No.
That's what I like about you. I sent them through to you as well. You're unbelievable. So, we'll give you a couple of quick fire questions. See if you can remember when I jog your memory on it, Tam. First one is, your favourite game, Scott. What was it?
Favourite game's definitely got to be against Rangers at Ibrox when I eventually scored and done the Brunei in front of Juve. I think we went down to 10 men. We were in a little bit of pressure, for us, to be perfectly honest, the first half. But we came out the second half. The manager spoke to us, Lenny, and gave us so much encouragement and understood that we can go on and win the game and showed us how we were going to do that. And I think the second half we got stronger and stronger, and lucky enough for me, the ball came to my left foot instead of my right, and I managed to put it in the back of the net.
It was an absolute peach, Tam. Do you remember that? I mean, a left foot from him as well.
I was surprised he reached the goal, to be honest. You know, he's got a left foot like Christy Brown. But, no, it was a great finish. Fair play to him.
Yeah, favourite goal then is that one, I presume. Who's been your toughest opponent?
Iniesta. Going over to Barcelona and playing at Celtic Park as well, and you think you can get nice and tight to him, but his touch, his awareness is on a different level. Him and Xavi in the middle of the park, honest, they had the same brain, they knew where each other were, they knew what they were going to do before anybody else did, and whether you thought you could get tight to him or you thought you'd leave him on the ball, he still managed to beat you somehow. It was incredible.
What advice would you give a coach then if you were actually in that situation where you were actually looking and thinking, okay, there's Iniesta and Xavi, they're giving me the absolute runaround? What goes through your mind then? Is it insecurity or is it just keep breathing, keep going?
I tried to leave one on him as well, but he jumped out the road of that too. The advice would be to just deepen and just sit in front of the back four, because you're not going to get near him. There was a couple of times that I thought that I could get my body in, but you don't realise how quick he was as well. And his pace over 5-6 yards was exceptional, and his ability to dribble and to beat 2-3 men on the ball was great to watch, even though I was supposed to be trying to take the ball off him.
I was going to say, does that preempt my next question? The best player that you would love to have played alongside?
Yeah, but for me, Messi is the best player in the world, and I think you would obviously love to have played with Messi or Ronaldo, most people, and mine's is Messi just because he's a genius. As soon as he gets on the ball, his left foot's an absolute wand, and he beats 3-4 people. And there was one at Celtic Park as well. He gave me an absolute shuffle, and I thought he was going to go down the line, and I kind of thought, right, I've not been booked. Make sure you touch the ball and then try and touch the man. So he's chucked right, then he's take the ball left, and I've just continued and just went flat on my face. And it's like,
I can remember that.
Yeah. To be fair, it's been all over Twitter for years, so it was a hard one to take, but I got up and I taken my medicine and just got on with it.
Yeah, is there any Scottish player or a player that's played in our league that you thought, he was special, I'd like to have played with him?
I think for me, Larsson, I played against Hendrick quite a lot, and I was lucky enough for him to play my testimonial, and for him going from Celtic to Barcelona and to Man United as well. And it shows you what a top quality player he was when he was at Celtic, but to play against him as well. And sometimes he was not in the game for 85 minutes, then he would turn up in the box, his spring, his touch, he just had everything, to be perfectly honest. And I think that Celtic team at the time when we were coming through with Hibs, we thought we can bully them, we thought we could get in their faces, but they had people like John Hartson, Chris Sutton and Hendrik Larsson and Alan Thompson and Neil Lennon that were big people, strong people, and they were aggressive as well. And sometimes we got the better of them, but more or not, we struggled.
Peter, I don't know if Scott can remember. We lost 6-0 against Celtic at Parkhead with Hibs, and you remember it, Rooney? Yeah. So Deeks gets sent off in the first half. We were 2-0 down and we were getting pummeled. So we come in at half time and Bobby Wilson's like, listen, boys, damage limitation, just waste time at corners, throw-ins. And my abiding memory is 6-0 down and Celtic were taking the mickey out of us. and Bruni was still going through and clattering people. And I was well off the park at that point, and I was sitting watching going, who is this boy? He was snapping in at Lennon, at Lambert. And I just thought to myself, other players would have chucked it. And Bruni just kept going all the way to 90 minutes, and he was in people's faces. And it's probably stuff like that that actually got him the move to Celtic, because he never chucked it. And one thing he'll never do is chuck it on the park.
And strangely enough, Scott, that must have built a bond with you of respect with your current manager. He's been there twice. He's done a remarkable job.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, especially the second time around as well. He's a lot more chilled out than he was the first time, and he's sitting back. He's watching the games. He's understanding that we're playing well, and he just loves it, to be perfectly honest. But I think for the manager, when I first signed, and he was the first person that I ever bumped into at Celtic Park, and he was sitting in the manager's kind of room to the left hand side when you walk in Celtic Park. Just the day he was leaving, I was signing, so it was a bittersweet, to be perfectly honest. And I've walked in. We've had 5 or 6 running battles in the last couple of years. We've put the head in each other with a few bad tackles here and there, but I walked in and he had ultimate respect for Celtic. He loved the club, and he told me that I'm going to thrive off the fans, thrive off it coming into playing in front of 60,000 people on a great pitch, especially European nights as well. And for a man to sit down and chat to you about that you were coming in to take his position, it shows you what a character he was as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you two, teammates, for the last time, here's your quick ones. Favourite movie, Tam McManus?
Braveheart.
Scott?
What's up with that? That's a great film.
Brilliant. Right, Shawshank.
Shawshank's a good shout. Favourite song, Tam?
Oh, You Two, With or Without You.
Scotty?
Married to
I
that.
think we're a wee bit away with each other with music, T-Man. I'm going to go Scooter. Just any tune, I'm not going to lie.
No.
He is a Ned.
What's even worse is, right? I love Scooter, but I absolutely adore Annie Lennox. So how does that work? Can somebody
I don't
tell
know
me
how
about
that works. I know, but Scooter.
I've always been a confused child.
Scooter's mental. I mean, honestly, the whole album is like a 12-inch single. Okay, if you had one movie star that you could have a date with, obviously at your wife's consent, Tam?
Oh, Margot Robbie.
Oh, yeah. Bruni?
Jennifer Aniston. Absolutely adore her still. Even though she's 50, still
He's going for the mouths.
Oh, yeah, still take her out for a date now.
You always have to lower the tone, McManus. You're unbelievable. Listen, last point then. What does it mean to you to be the captain of Celtic? You're on the verge of 9 in a row, and a chance, obviously, to become a guy who could potentially have 10 title medals if you could get 10 in a row.
It'd be amazing, to be perfectly honest. I think when I first signed for Celtic, I've never experienced winning a league, never experienced winning a treble, to be perfectly honest. And when I signed, I always wanted to win that treble. I always wanted to win the league. And lucky enough for me, the first season, we won the league up at Tannadice. And we had the opportunity with Ronnie Dyler to win the treble as well. And we just fell short. So I thought that was maybe going to be just a little bit out my sights, but Brendan came in. We've done a phenomenal job, to be perfectly honest, and we've worked extremely hard, and we got those 3 trebles in a row, and we're pretty much sitting, hopefully that we're going to sit and have that opportunity to get the 4th treble, but it's maybe not to be just now.
Tam, any last words for your old teammate?
No, listen, I've always been proud of Bruni and what he's achieved in his career, from being my boot boy and the wee Tasmanian devil, running about with a red stripe in his head, to going and potentially becoming a Celtic legend. He's had a brilliant career. He's a great lad. He's never changed. That's one thing about Bruni. I met him at the A licence, and as soon as I walked in the door, he started slotting me. It's what I'd expected anyway, and he's never changed. So that's what I love about him. And he also does a lot for charity as well. He's also helped a lot of people with charity and stuff, and does off the pitch. So he's a great ambassador for Celtic, and we hope he plays on as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I speak for everybody. It's been a delight having you on the show, Scott. It's absolutely great to get a wee insight into your career and your thought process. We hope you get back kicking a ball. And of course, who knows what's going to happen? I can't wait to see him as a manager. Can you, Tam? It's going to be absolutely mental, because he'll change his mobile. That's the first thing that happens. Then he distances himself. I'm giving you my experience of Lenny. Then they change their mobile, and then their voice deepens. Tam, that's all coming.
Yeah, they always. When you go from a player to a manager, you always turn into a bit of a ball bag.
To be fair, I've changed my mobile 3 times, and Tam still gets it.
Sure.
Scott Brown, thanks for joining us in the Football Show, top man.
Yeah, Tam, thanks very much. You take care. Stay safe, lads.
Cheers.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.